everybody, and welcome back to the stream. It's Friday. Oh, thank God. And you know what that means? It means it's time for Functional Home Fitness, where we do weight training using objects that you can find around your house. Yes, you. Hi. It's no longer like in the 30s. It's back in the 60s. I'll probably put the plants outside tonight. Hello, my dear. Good to see you here. Yeah, and it's supposed to be back in the 80s, I think, tomorrow. So this will be their last class inside the house, and then they'll probably be just as happy to go back on the porch. Hey, look, an actual fall day before we go back to the 80s tomorrow. I don't even, you know what? Colorado is so weird. It is so weird. Oh my goodness. Hi, my friends. I hope everybody has made it through their week okay, is breathing. There's been a really delightful thing going around on various social media platforms where people are just, requesting, like, leaving their accounts for a while and asking others to tell them what they like about that person. And it's just such a wonderfully wholesome thing to see on social media, given how toxic it can be. Preliminary diagnosis and meds. Yes, therapy is important. Getting medicated when you need it is important. Huzzah for taking care of our mental health the way we take care of our physical health. So yeah, it's nice to see something on social media that I feel like is, caring, but not in a saccharine way. A lot of times, a lot of the positivity memes, from my perspective, sort of lean a little hard into toxic positivity of if you're not happy, you're just not thinking, you're just not working hard enough to be happy kind of bullshit. And whereas something like this is where we have the opportunity to compliment one another and to tell each other, what we appreciate and admire about each other, is that's something specific, and that's something that can really speak to an individual on a personal level. So yay for positivity on the internet. I need to turn on the AC. Oh my God, guys, I have to turn on the AC. It's warm in here. It is warm in here. I definitely need some AC. Yes, Amanda did it today, so hopefully you've been enjoying your responses. But we're here to do some weightlifting. So if you've never taken this class before, my pre-class not warnings, just advisories, I guess. Obviously, we are doing weight training not with equipment that you can find in a gym. If you are doing this class with equipment you can find in a gym, then you can ignore this. But if you, like me, are using things like laundry detergent bottles and backpacks and books to do your weight training today, obviously these objects do not have their weight nicely written on the side, and so it especially if it's your first time taking class, it can be harder to accurately gauge how much weight is safe for you to be lifting. So if this is your first class, or even your first couple, I want you to be a little more conservative today in the amounts that you use. You can always, especially if you're using book bags or tote bags that can be loaded with more stuff, you can always put more stuff in later. But don't start out with I'm going to start with a super heavy bag. I want you to get an actual accurate concept of how much the objects you are using here weigh and how much you can actually lift while still maintaining safe form. So that's advisory 1. Advisory 2 is more general to free weight training. Always make sure that you are pitching the amount of weight that you are using. Especially, I really am focusing this on free weights arm exercises, make sure you are pitching the amount of weight that you're using towards your weaker side, not your stronger side, okay? None of us are perfectly symmetrical. We all have one side that is stronger, one side is weaker. One side that's better at balance, one side that's worse at it. They can be different depending on the activity. But the point is, if you try and force your weaker side to be able to lift the amount of weight that your stronger side can manage, your weaker side is going to compensate for the fact that it is not as strong by losing form and by, pushing through the movement in unsafe ways. And that really opens us up to injuries. It's how I injured my shoulder on my left-hand side, which is my weaker side, because my right arm felt so much stronger, and so I was really trying to push the amount that I was lifting towards what my right arm could do, and then I injured myself, and that's something that's going to stick with me probably for the rest of my life. So make sure that you're not doing that, because chronic injuries suck. Yeah! Okay, my darlings. Now let's quickly go through our pre-class checklist. We've got our vessel for water. In my case, a pint glass. In your case, hopefully a water bottle. Someday I'll have that water bottle back. Make sure that you're drinking water throughout class. Yes. We got our comfy clothes on. We've got our mats. And we've got our fitness wearables. We can turn them on to strength training today. We don't use the high intensity interval training setting for Fridays because that's not what we're doing. And make sure that you have your equipment. Okay, so I had a lot of recommendations of items up on the card before the stream started. So laundry detergent bottles, always great. Books, always great. Bags, always great, because again, you can really load them up as you get stronger and sort of continue to add that weight, which is really awesome. So make sure you've got all of that. And we're going to start with our warm-up, as we always do. I'm going to start by turning on my AC because I'm just going nuts here. It's nice. It's nice to actually feel like AC will be useful, but also, holy crap, this apartment holds heat very, very well. It traps heat supremely well. All right, my dears, we are going to start our warm-up. So everybody on your mats, on your backs, 1 foot crossed over the opposite knee, and as soon as you hear that timer go off, we will begin with our hip rocks and bridges. Hey! There's the timer, and that was a little quieter than usual. Maybe I'll turn this up. That was turning it down. Oh boy. Man, it's been a week. All right. So, we are warming up. So again, remember that we use the warm-up not as an opportunity to jump straight to 11 in terms of our intensity, but as an opportunity to legitimately warm up our bodies and our brains and get them ready for exercise. So think of it as a 16-minute boot-up process. It's very inefficient, but it's very important to make sure that our brains are ready to send the required signals down to our muscle fibers, make sure that our muscle fibers have turned on. All right, other side, please. Have turned on the energy production systems and started breaking down some of those fuel sources so that we have the energy. Do some active stretching, particularly for muscle groups that may not get a lot of play during the day, like our backs and our hips. If we're sitting all day at a computer while we work from home, or if we're standing all day behind a counter, if we work in a retail or food service situation, we are not really doing a ton to move our hips and our backs, and they get really stiff and sad. So we'll warm those up, and at the very end, we'll move into a brief cardio period where we can get ourselves ready to rock and roll. All right, our leg sequence. So everybody on your sides, doing your best Jane Fonda impression. Remember that we will stay on this side for the next 2 exercises. So when the horn goes, don't roll to your other side, okay? Stay right here, and we'll do 2 more exercises, and then we'll do all 3 of them on the other side. But remember, we're going for a nice straight line of the body, so make sure you've got your core engaged to prevent your hips from rocking around anywhere. Make sure you're engaging the glute on the working leg so that it pulls that leg into alignment with the rest of your body. And make sure you're just chilling. Pretending to be Ms. Fonda. All right, now that top foot is flat on the floor in front of the bottom knee. Where did that come from? That was like a weird Boston accent thing. I've never even lived, I lived in the Northeast, but I never lived in Boston. Weird. I have for much of my life had a fairly geographically untraceable accent, so I guess it makes as much sense for me to have weird moments of Boston as anything else. Oh, I see more messages coming in. Amanda has thoughts. Oh my goodness. Oh, my friends, it's a weird time. I've been realizing this week that I really need to actually plan a vacation for myself. Not obviously, all right, top foot behind the bottom knee, still lifting the bottom leg. Not obviously, a travel-based vacation or anything along those lines, but just a week where I am able to not have any responsibilities other than the things I choose to do. Because right now I have, at least one major responsibility 7 days a week. And what I've been realizing is that I am feeling the weight of that right now. And making myself feel guilty about it, which is silly, but the world is in such a weird place, and it's like, well, you hardly ever leave the house. How can you feel tired by the weight of responsibility? And that's not a good way to look at it, because most of my responsibilities take place in the house does not make them any less real or burdensome. And as I mentioned in one of the classes this week, Monday being Labor Day and actually being a full-on day off for me in a way I haven't had in a while, and I really, really focused in on protecting that time and going, okay, no, this time is for me to do what I want with. And it felt so amazing, and I felt lighter than I have in a while. And then of course I got around bedtime and immediately felt tired again. So I think the theory is sound, but I do need a bit more vacation time. So I am thinking that at some point in the next month, I will do an actual proper rest week for myself. As you know, obviously I haven't really done a full-on rest week for myself in ages. I will do weeks where I don't do as much of the exercises with you, but I'm always still doing a lot of them. So I think a proper rest week is in order at some point. And I will keep you posted on that. it's weird because, of course, the one problematic thing about doing that is, you know, I'm working on growing the channel, which is awesome, and working on trying to get to affiliate status, which is going really well. But of course, taking a week off of streaming would definitely have impacts on that. And so what I might actually do, because I now have the YouTube channel and I have the VODs up there, is I might have a week where I say, okay, this is going to be my rest week, but I will still set the streams going at their usual times and just use VODs from previous classes, so that you all are still able to take class and there's still activity on the channel, but I can still, you know, take a step back and have a little bit of rest for myself. So I only just thought of that, but now I'm really liking that idea. So we'll see. I will obviously keep you posted. All right, everybody, on to your stomachs. It's time for scorpion twists. So now we are entering into the portion of the warm-up where we warm up our backs and our hips. Make sure that those forearms are planted firmly on the ground. If your elbow has to raise up before you can fully twist, then you cannot twist that far yet. So be honest with yourself. Always be honest with yourself. As you know, I talk a lot about the importance of listening to your body, listening to the signals that it is sending you. And this is a good opportunity to practice that. And then a good yardstick to go, oh, I can twist a little further this week than I could last week. That's exciting. That feels nice. All right. Invisible, imaginary PVC pipes, holding them above our heads, doing our nice big torso rotations, changing direction every couple of circles so that you even yourself out, because we're not going to do a second round of this. So you want to make sure that you're even. I really like these pants, but I think they may be a little big on me now, which is unfortunate, but I usually only use them on Fridays anyway, which are lower octane classes, so they should still be fine for that. All right. Remember that you are moving from your hips. You're initiating the circle from your hips, not with your arms. All right. Still holding that pole above your head. Now we are doing squats. So let's check in on those knees. Hey, knees, how you doing? Are you going straight over the feet through this whole position, or are you trying to cave in towards each other? If you are, narrow the stance a little bit and go again, and really work on perfecting the squat form at this width. And then once you feel strong there, then you can bring your feet back out a little bit and test there and see how that goes, okay? But if you're not able to maintain that form at the wider width, always make sure to modify so that you're going to be doing it safely. All right, Samson stretches. Oh, yeah, this is really digging into the front of that hip flexor. And let me tell you, if you've been sitting all day or standing all day without a lot of walking involved, then your hips are really going to appreciate this particular exercise. So really make sure to just sink down into that stretch, arms go straight up towards the ceiling. You're not trying to curve them behind your head or anything. It can be a little deceptive because there's a natural curve to the back regardless, but I am not actively trying to bend backwards. All right, and now down into our wide squat position. Hands on the knees to keep them in that nice, safe position over the feet. And we're just moving our shoulders. First one twists in towards the midline, and then the other. And apart from that, nothing else is moving, okay? So you're not coming up and down out of the squat position. You're not letting your knee chase your shoulder as your shoulder twists in. Everything else is just nice and stable, and you're just twisting those shoulders, getting a nice twist in the upper back this time, okay? All right, cardio time. Here we are. So we are now at the cardio portion of the warm-up. So we're doing our jumping jacks. Remember, we are still not going for 100% energy, because after we're done with this, we still have 45 minutes left of class. So you want to make sure that you actually have the energy left for class. So we are really gonna just do a step above bare minimum, but definitely well below full-sized jumping jacks. We're just trying to get our heart rate going a little faster, our breath coming a little faster, just really turning on the final levers for your cardiovascular system to really get ready. All right, and now we are here at the kick-throughs, which I always like to spend a little more time describing because they are the weirdest one. So one hand, I've got weight on that hand, I've got weight on the opposite leg. This leg is at a 90-degree angle, knee pointing up towards the ceiling. I've kicked the other leg across my body. Then I'll come through the center and do the same thing on the other side. I don't want to let my butt sink down to the floor, and I don't want to let the knee on the standing leg cave in towards the midline. Either of those is going to put really unhealthy torque pressures on your knee when you then try to switch to the other side. Okay? So always be aware of that. All right. And last but certainly not least, here we are for our burpees. Remember, you're doing a wave push-up, not a plank push-up, okay? Even if you really want to do a plank push-up, even if you're really good at plank push-ups, that's awesome. We're still doing a wave push-up. And then a nice big victory clap up at the top as you jump, okay? Keep those elbows right in by the sides as you do the push-up. And make sure you're breathing. And getting ready, getting set. And it's rest time. Oh yeah. Woo. Yeah, there we go. Good job, everybody. Well warmed up. Bottom leg. From Philly, really. I feel like there are a lot of accents in that like northeast, north central part of the country that people don't always think that all of the accents are different. Like, I feel like a lot of people assume that like Boston accent and New York accent are interchangeable, and they're so not. And then the Rhode Island accent is just a mixture of the worst parts of the New York and the Boston accent. And then Philly apparently has an accent, and I don't think I could pick that out of a lineup, but lots of weird accents going on up there. You were there for 4 years, and that was 20 years ago. Well, look, 4 years is more than enough time to pick up some of the vocal cadences. Let me tell you, I am a dual citizen with Canada, but I've never lived there. I haven't even traveled to Canada since I was a middle schooler, I think. My father, who's the one from Canada, moved to America when he was like 3, so he doesn't have a Canadian accent. And at one point in my late 20s, I just started developing bits of Canadian accent. And it was before I started following Loading Ready Run. I just started saying, you know, about and sorry, and I was like, I don't understand why I've started to do this. I haven't been to Canada in years, but you know, there you go. All right, my dears. Good rest. So today is going to be a little bit of a different structure. I have been keeping a very similar structure for these classes. Today I am going to switch it up a little bit. So we are actually going to be doing workout interval timers today for our exercises. So we're going to be doing perpetual motion timers, 1 minute intervals. We'll have 3 exercises. We'll go through them 3 times each. So very much like our other classes, just with equipment this time. So that will have to be a part of your calculus of moving from one exercise to the other. Thankfully, each of these segments has 2 of the 3 exercises are the same exercise, just on different sides. So that will simplify the process a little bit. But the math does work out, but I'll talk about that later. All right, so our first set of exercises, I'm gonna do, so if I was doing this exercise, it's gonna be a single leg deadlift. If I was doing this exercise with actual free weights, I would be using 2 dumbbells, not 1. Again, you know, we're getting creative here, and I don't have 2 laundry detergent bottles that are the same weight, so I can make do with just the 1 bottle. So what we're gonna do is, if you're doing something similar where you're just holding 1 item, you're gonna hold it in front of you. You're gonna make sure you're engaging your core and your glutes and the quad on the working leg. You want utter stability. You don't want this weight to be able to pull your back out of alignment. And you're just going to go forward, let the weight come down almost to the floor, and then back up, and then down, and then back up. And then the second exercise will be other side, okay? So that's the single leg deadlift. Then our third exercise is going to be the 1 dumbbell front raise. So for myself, I'm going to use, well, I've used a variety of things. Today I'm going to use a backpack. I've used a large book. I've used a stock pot with stuff in it. Whatever you're using, you want to be able to grip it from both sides. So if I was doing this with a dumbbell, and I actually have a dumbbell here, I can demonstrate. I would just have a single dumbbell and be holding it like this. Since I don't have that, again, we're getting, well, pay no attention to the dumbbell behind the curtain. Since we're getting creative, I'm going to hold this bag in front of me similarly, and I'm just going to raise it up until my arms are about parallel with the floor, and then lower, raise and lower. You don't want them going super high, okay? So obviously sometimes you might go a little higher than shoulder height, but if you notice them get, if you notice your arms up at eye level, then you're definitely lifting too much. All right, so those are our exercises. We've got the single leg deadlift, first side and second side, and then the one dumbbell front raise. So everybody onto your mats, get your equipment ready, okay? Because as soon as you hear that timer, we will be going. All right, so 5-second warning, pick up your equipment, and hey. So as you're doing this exercise to start with, I want you to really be slow and steady, okay? Both because we have plenty of time and because anything where we're following a weight down towards the floor, a weight that obviously wants to travel really quickly, we want to make sure that we are in complete control of the exercise, okay? So I don't want you losing the engagement of any of those stabilizing muscles, okay? You are in control, and you are going to be slow and steady as you go. As you get a better sense of the exercise, if you feel comfortable speeding up, all right, switching feet, then you can try that. But you see what I did just then? I lost my focus for a second, and I lost the engagement of my core. And so my back started to curve over and pull me down towards the floor, all right? So that's what we're talking about. We want to be focused. We want to be in control of the movement the whole time, okay? And try to keep your hips pointing towards the floor, flat towards the floor, rather than letting them open out, okay? They will have a tendency to want to open out towards the leg that's lifting. Try to avoid that, okay? It's easier to avoid that when you are using two different weights. So if you have books that could do the trick, then you are welcome to do that as well. All right, I'm gonna do these from the side just because otherwise I'm lifting the backpack right up in front of my face. And that makes it a little hard for you to engage with the teacher. But here we go. So this is our first time through. Remember, perpetual motion. We are going to go through these 3 exercises 2 more times. All right? So I know we're not used to that with our weightlifting, with our equipment classes. But you know, when I was teaching in person, I would generally have 1 class a week that was fully body weight exercises, and 1 class a week that was a mix between the two. And I've kind of been missing that, you know. It's a lot easier to do, honestly, when you have a room and a bunch of stations and people can just sort of move from station to station. But you know, we obviously have the ability to do something similar here in our living room. So I figured this would be a good opportunity to test that out, have a little fun, and see how it feels. So here we go. well, not here we go. Y'all have been doing your second time through the single leg deadlift for a little bit now. You're about to switch over to the other side. So again, really focusing in on form, okay? It becomes even more important. All right, other side. It becomes even more important to focus on your form when you introduce equipment, okay? When you are trying to wrangle heavy things in addition to moving your body through space, there are so many new things that can go wrong, okay? And so if you think that I focus on, doing the exercise correctly a lot in my other classes, that is nothing compared to these classes. Anytime that you introduce some sort of actual physical weighted object that you need to maneuver through space, then I need you to really, really focus in on your form. Make sure that your brain is engaged actively in what you're doing so that you don't have moments like I demonstrated earlier where I lost the control and the stability of my core and suddenly that weight was trying to pull me towards the floor and it was having a much easier time of it because I was not engaging all of those stabilizing muscle groups. So really today in particular, since we are doing a different structure and we're doing a structure that involves a little more rapid transition from one exercise to the other, I want you to even more focus on your form. Make sure that you are thinking about, okay, what are all the muscles that I want to engage so that they're protecting different areas of my body while I move through this? Is this an exercise where I need to make sure that I'm not letting gravity pull me down with the weight? Yes? Okay. How do I do that? And just really focus in on all of those questions. All right. Here we go. Our final time through these exercises. So last time through our first deadlift side. All right. Make sure that you're focusing. You also don't want to be wobbling around a ton, okay? So again, like most of our balance positions, any micro adjustments that you need to be making to keep your balance, you want those adjustments to be coming from your foot and your ankle only. So that's another reason why we really want to make sure that we are in control of every other segment of our body. Because if we're not, and if this weight starts going somewhere we don't expect, or if my torso starts tipping over unexpectedly, and then suddenly I can no longer maintain the balance with my foot and my ankle, and best case, I fall out of the position and I lose some of the opportunity for performing the exercise. Worst case, I fall out of the position and I injure myself and potentially set myself up for a chronic injury. So really making sure that you are in control of every aspect of this exercise. This is a new one too, a new one for me as well. So a lot of this is me reminding myself of all of these good practices, because just because you've been exercising for a while and teaching for a while does not mean that you don't still have plenty to learn, okay? So here we are in our final interval, final opportunity for the 1 dumbbell front raise. Again, we've got a nice stable standing position, making sure the core is engaged so you don't end up hyper flexing the back in some weird way. Glutes are engaged to help increase that stability. So the only thing that should be moving are your arms holding that weight. Everything else is staying nice and still and stable until we get to stop and rest. Get back to our water bottles, yeah, or our pint glasses, whatever you're using. All right. Woo! See, yeah, it's good to change things up every once in a while. Again, good variety, re-engages us in what we're doing, and just gives us a new challenge to work on, which is always fun. So I'm quite pleased. All right, second set of exercises. Again, we are going to have the first two exercises will be side 1 and side 2 of the same exercise, and then we'll have one additional exercise. So here's what we're doing. We are going to start with 1 dumbbell toe raises. So I'm going to hold my heavy thing in one hand, not letting the weight drag my shoulder down. Okay, so you want your shoulder engaged actively in holding the weight, not lifting. You know, I don't need that shoulder to be up by your ear, but my shoulder is an integral part of holding this weight up. And I'm going to stand on one foot, on that same foot, same side as the weight is on. Try and stand by a wall, a high counter, anything that you can put a hand on for a little bit of balance. And we're just going to raise up on the ball of the foot and down and up and down. If you are in an area of your home with stairs, generally this exercise is done off the back of a stair, and that adds a little more fun to it. So if you are in a space with stairs, you can absolutely do this while balancing on having the ball of your foot on a stair, letting the heel hang off of it, okay? And then, you know, we'll do the other side for exercise number 2, okay? And our third exercise is going to be a tricep extension. That's not a particularly heavy book. That's better. All right, so this will be more for, actually, you know what I can use? See, my textbook comes in handy as a weightlifting apparatus. All right, so tricep extension. So we're gonna lie flat on our backs, feet flat on the floor, knees pointing up towards the ceiling. Hold your weighted object. In this case, I am holding a book above your head. Bend at the elbows. Let it come down towards the floor behind your head, and then extend back up and down and up and down and up, okay? So we would be doing this with just 1 dumbbell if we were using dumbbells, okay? So those are our 3 exercises. We've got the 1 dumbbell toe raise on side 1 and side 2, and then we've got tricep extensions. So everybody back to your mats. 5-second warning. Get prepped with your equipment. Find your place to balance, and we're off. So for most leg-based exercises, and this one is a more dramatic encapsulation of that, the way that we work our legs with free weight exercises is by adding to the amount of weight that they have to push against, okay? So in order for my calf to actually do this exercise, it needs to generate more force than the external forces pushing against it. In this case, generally my body weight. Adding just another heavy weight on just adds more intensity because it's adding more weight. So now, instead of just my body weight that it has to push against, it suddenly has to push against my body weight plus this big ass container of laundry detergent. So sometimes some of the more reserved, for lack of a better term, leg exercises like this one can feel like they're not doing anything for a little bit, where you're like, well, this doesn't really feel like I'm doing anything useful. And then the switch will go off and you'll go, oh, yeah, it does. I am definitely feeling that now. So keep that in mind. And also keep in mind that you can generally manage heavier amounts of weight for leg exercises than arm exercises, because our legs are much beefier in general than our arms. All right, down to the mat for your tricep extensions. Again, remembering that we still have the same requirements for the bare minimum for class. So starting on time, stopping on time, and doing the exercises correctly. However, starting on time for perpetual motion means minimizing the amount of time that it takes us to transition from the exercise we are currently doing to the exercise that we need to start doing. But also remember that when we are wrangling equipment, we need to spare a thought or several to safely managing that equipment, okay? So we're not rushing around trying to get from one exercise to the next, forgetting that we're holding a heavy thing and then wrenching our bodies and injuring ourselves, okay? So you want to always respect the equipment you're using. And that can feel a little silly when the equipment that you're using is a laundry detergent bottle or a textbook. But look, they can do some damage. I mean, there's a reason why I default to this thing quite frequently. It's because it is absolutely the heaviest thing in my house. I mean, unless I started weightlifting with the herb box, which, you know, I could do, but it's a little awkwardly sized for me to be able to do that. So, you know, this thing right here is a great piece of equipment for weightlifting. And, you know, we've all had that moment where we've picked up something like a laundry detergent bottle or a trophy or a big encyclopedia or something and gone, oh man, I could weightlift with this. And this is just putting our money where our mouth is in that particular respect. But I like it because it makes us more creative about, you know, what equipment we can use and how we can go about exercising. Because, you know, the equipment that we use for traditional exercise, in the grand scheme of things, it's all still relatively new, you know. In pre-1900s generations, for the most part, fitness just came about as a result of what people were doing in their daily lives. You know, if you were working as a farmer or you were working in a factory, you know, you were likely moving heavy things around all the time. You didn't need a separate gym because your gym was just what you were doing with your life and with your time. And we've lost that a little bit. You know, we've we've gotten complacent. We've gotten, I think, a little bit of inertia going in terms of, exercise happens in the gym, or it happens in this specific context and in no other. And when we get too focused on this single way that we can exercise, then we frequently will end up, we'll really end up getting in our own way, because then when we don't have access to those perfect conditions, frequently our response is to just stop exercising for a bit, which then frequently becomes no longer exercising for a while, which can then become, all right, well, now I'm in my 50s and I really want to start exercising again, but it's been several decades since I've done anything. So having that creative outlook and being able to look around your home or look at the things that you do in your daily life and go, okay, what counts as exercise? What objects do I have that just using them as a part of my daily life can be helping my overall fitness? What activities do I do that I never really thought of as exercise, but that do, work up a bit of a sweat, work up some soreness in the muscles? There's a lot more, I bet, than you necessarily give credit for. So always try and maintain that outlook of curious creativity. And that way, when major society-shaking events like plagues come along, you don't have to lose your ability to keep exercising, keeping your body healthy, keep learning how to move, how to strengthen yourself, how to gain more flexibility, and in general, just keep working on this really awesome tool in your toolbox for an overall healthy life, okay? So always keep that in mind, but it's definitely one of my favorite things about these classes is just the opportunity for us to be really creative and to go, oh, well, I never considered weightlifting with my old textbooks, but man, do I remember how heavy they were when I had to cart them around in my backpack, so sure, why not? Or, I do have 8 million D&D books, and those things get real heavy real quick. Why not, use them for physical fitness as well as mental fitness? Good job, everybody. Good job. Let's get some more water, all right? Yeah. Okay. We've got one more set of exercises, and again, it's going to be 2 sides of the same exercise and then a third, and then at the end of class we're going to have a nice little surprise. And don't you just love surprises? All right, so our first 2 exercises are going to be, and I did this maybe 2 weeks ago as a new exercise, and I really like it. So we're going to do the lunge with the knee pull, which will make much more sense in today's class than it did the first time that I did it, when I forgot that it was really a one-sided exercise. So you're gonna want 2 objects of, similar if not exact weight. So books are a good selection for this. You want them to be something that you can grip firmly in your hands, and you do not need them to be super heavy because of the way we'll be holding them. A lot of the pressure will be put on our shoulders, so we don't need super heavy weights for this. So we're gonna hold them one in each hand. I'm gonna get into this nice long lunge, holding the weights out in front of me. Then I'm gonna stand up towards the front leg. Something on my mat, get off my mat. Pull that knee up and pull the weights into my chest, and then back down and up and down and up and down, okay? And then second side, obviously. And then our third side is going to be dumbbell presses. So again, best to do with two objects. So maybe just stick with these books, okay? And hold them on either side. Push up and down and up and down. If that doesn't feel like enough weight for you, you can use a single object that's heavier. Maybe I use this book. It's going to be a little bit of a different exercise. I'm not going to be able to go down as far if I'm only using one object. So if you can at all have two objects that you're using for these presses, please do, okay? All right, so those are those exercises. So lunge with a knee pull, first and second side, and then dumbbell presses. So everybody back to your mats. 5-second warning. Get those books in hand or whatever you are using. Hey, and we're off. So again, this is an exercise with a wide range of motion and where we are wrangling weights as well as body weight movement. So slow and steady, and make sure that you are engaging your stabilizing muscle groups. Your core is great for this one, okay? It is absolutely fantastic. When you come down to this lunge, you don't want to be pushing your knee too far forward, okay? You don't want that knee pushing up past your toes or anything like that, okay? And again, lighter weight is probably going to be better because you're holding these out in front of you for a long time. And yes, they're moving, but they're not moving a ton, and you're not ever sort of putting them into a full down position. So make sure that you are, again, using an amount of weight that you can use safely to perform the exercise, okay? Form, 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 especially when we are working with weights. Always, always focus on your form, okay? I know I'm talking about it a lot, but I get paranoid. And it's not even paranoia. It's just, it is an area that is really important to focus on. And if you're coming to this class and you did not grow up in a weightlifting context, if that was not the activity that you did when you were younger, then you may not have ever been taught that appropriate weight room etiquette, for lack of a better term. I know that was an issue that I had, absolutely, because my exercise in school was dance, which obviously is a body weight focused activity. And so when I started doing classes that involved weights more frequently, I did not have that ingrained understanding of safe form, safe practice. And that is how I ended up hurting myself. So always focus in on your form, especially if it's a new exercise, especially if you're coming to class and this type of free weight activity is still new to you. Always focus on your form. And maybe that means that it feels like you're moving a little slowly for a few weeks or for a few months. But once you have that baseline developed, safely developed, then you are going to be able to just do so much. But you want to do it from a safe foundation, okay? You don't want to be going around on an unhealthy foundation and just basically being a ticking time bomb for injury, okay? So, form. All right. Second side for the second run through the lunge to knee pull. Oh man, we are almost to the end of class. Not quite there yet. Still got one more thing to do after this is done. I know. Please try to restrain your excitement. But almost to the end of class, which means that we're almost ready to move out into what is hopefully our weekend. It is not everybody's weekend, and for those of you who do have to work on Saturday and or Sunday, I salute you, I empathize, I understand, and I'm glad that you're here at class, because even if you're not heading into a weekend, having class, having really awesome strength training day is going to still make you, give you a lot of energy for the rest of your weekend, whatever it includes. If it includes work, if it includes rest, if it includes video games or cycling around town, whatever you might be up to, it's good to start from a little bit of exercise. Good to remind ourselves of what our bodies are capable of, because look, like they may be, meat wrapped around bone, but they're friggin' ridiculous and honestly quite impressive. So always be impressed by what you're able to achieve and accomplish in these classes, because I'm impressed. I'm impressed with myself and I'm impressed with you. And I want you to always keep that in mind. All right, we are going into our final set. So I want that form to be just as good here the third time through as it was on the first time through. So make sure that core is engaged, especially when you're pulling the knee forward. You're coming up to that balance, you're moving those weights. A lot of movement is happening at one time, and you need to make sure that you're not going to let different parts of your body sort of fall around. Again, we don't want our weight shifting in unexpected ways, okay? So that's why it's so important to really make sure that you are in control of the weight of all of the different parts of your body, because this is not a single joint or a closed chain exercise. We are doing so many things. We're moving the arms at the elbow and the shoulder. We're moving our knees from this lunge position to the straight leg. We're moving in our hips as we pull ourselves from a lunge up to standing. There's just so many components to this exercise, and it's so fun, but it's also something that you really have to focus in on, okay? So always pay attention to how many joints are involved in the exercise that you're doing, okay? And that will tell you a little bit about the intensity of focus that you need to be putting on the exercise. All right, we are finishing out this final set with dumbbell presses. All right, so having a good time. Hopefully everybody was able to find 2 objects of a similar weight. And remember, we're pitching the amount of weight towards what our weaker side can do, not towards what our stronger side can do, okay? Always keep that in mind. The best way to try and even out the disparity between your stronger and weaker side is to build the weaker side up instead of trying to shove it immediately into a higher weight class than it's ready for. Slept weird on my shoulder. Good. Yeah. Okay. Always pay attention to your body. And if you need to modify or hold back from an exercise, that is totally okay. Always. So thank you for doing that. Yeah. Oh, D&D books are just great for that. And you have a lot of books that are similar thickness, so it's easier to find the, similar weighted ones, which can be useful for some of these exercises where you really do want 2 objects. Okay, my friends, I'm gonna have you round out with something we don't usually do on Fridays. Oh yes, this is what's happening. We are rounding out with a cardio tabata, and we're doing burpees. Woo! Yeah! Oh God, essentials of... Yep, textbooks. But no textbooks right now because we're doing burpees. Y'all know what I want from burpees. Y'all know the form notes that I would give you. Here is our opportunity to really dig in. We probably have some extra energy left over because, strength training, not necessarily heavy on the cardio. So let us really dig in and get some of that energy out. Just leave it on the mat because you know what? We are at the end of class, and why shouldn't we? All right, you're back on your mats. You heard that first horn. Then you hear the knock, knock, knock of please get ready, get set. And you're off. So this is a 2010, as we know, for our cardio tabatas, which means that you have the opportunity to push a little bit harder and a little bit faster because you only have to go sprinting along for 20 seconds before you get that 10-second rest. All right, my friends. I know, it's a change, a big change from what we usually do, but you know what? It's nice to get a little bit of a burst of cardio in there, send you out of class feeling energized and just powerful because you were able to do an awesome weightlifting class and then head back out into the regular world with all that strength and all that power, and just reminding your cardiovascular system that yes, we're here, we're exercising, we're doing it. We've done it for an hour. You've made it through class. It's been an awesome, awesome time, and this is going to be the last thing that you have to get through before we are done. Woo! So I want you to really just hone in, focus in, try not to let anything distract you while you are doing the exercise itself. Up until that fanfare goes, you can be futzing with your hair, futzing with your clothes, futzing with, getting a drink of water. But
as soon as you start, I want you to really focus in on just doing the exercise until the end horn goes off again. All right, my friends, you are halfway through this cardio tabata, and doesn't it feel great? We haven't spent the entire hour preceding this wearing ourselves out with a lot of other cardio exercises, so you have so much energy right now. You have so much energy to devote to these burpees, and you know, that can be really, really satisfying to be like, wow, usually I do not feel this powerful or this energetic when I do the end of class cardio tabata, but today I've been weight training, and now I'm ready to jump around a bit. All right, we got our cheerleaders out on the floor as we head into our second to last set. They're doing their best floor routine next to your mat, next to your computer, next to your TV, whatever you are watching the stream on. They are super proud, they're super excited, and so am I, because even though I sort of blindsided you with a cardio tabata today, you've taken it in stride, you have dived right in, you're about to head into your final interval, which means you can really push for speed and power, knowing that you are going to have the strength and the energy and the ability to leave class and to go out, metaphorically anyway, and change the world however you want. Ah, good job, everybody. Woo! All right, we're not gonna do a huge amount of stretching, but I wanna do two things. I wanna do some calf stretching, because those toe raises are tough. So if you have a wall, that would be best. I am going to pretend I'm using the wall. I can't actually get to the wall, but we're going to stand on one foot, take the other leg back behind us. You want to be able to drive your heel all the way down to the floor. So that's where the wall can come in handy. If you want to extend out a little farther, but you can't quite get the heel down under your own power, you can push against the wall, and that will help to get the heel all the way down. So just take it back as far as you need to get that nice stretch. If that's just here, that's fine. You don't have to go any farther back. I have to move farther back to really get the calf stretch in, just because of my current level of flexibility. But you do not always want to take me as the yardstick of where you should be, okay? This is after decades of dance training. All right, let's stand that foot back up, and other leg. Again, you will probably notice differences in the flexibility from one side to the other, totally natural, okay? And you also want to make sure that you're pushing slowly and gently into the stretch, rather than just trying to force your heel down, okay? Because that will activate the calf muscle, and it will try and contract because that's what it wants to do. And the whole purpose of this is to lengthen the muscle. So we always want to, for static stretching, move into it slowly so that we are not activating the muscle to contract, okay? All right, stand that back up, and we're just gonna do quick full arm thing. So just bring your arms, swinging them forward and back, letting them cross one over the other, and you can switch which one crosses above and which one crosses below. It doesn't really matter. And then take one arm out to the side, across your body, other hand up just above the elbow, and pull that arm nice and snug into your chest so you feel that stretch along your tricep, okay? And just hold that there. It's not a dramatic stretch, but it'll feel nice. Take a few breaths there. Yeah, there we go. And then release, shaking back and forth, other arm out and across. Woo! I always feel far more intensity in the stretch on this particular side. Again, my left arm is my weaker arm, so it's always working a little bit harder because it's trying to catch up. All right, and release those arms, and we are good, my friends. Good job, everybody. Grab some water, please. Make sure that you have finished your water bottle, and then go refill it once we're done. Just hydration, hydration, hydration. Very important. There we go. There we go. A good class, a good end to the white collar work week, and just another really, really lovely evening spent exercising here with all of you. You used to not like water. I'm always fascinated when people tell me that. I've never had that experience. I've always loved water, and like the number of friends I have who like don't drink water unless it's fizzy or flavored, and I'm always like, I feel like I never feel as hydrated when I am drinking fizzy or flavored waters as when I'm drinking just plain water. Lemon juice, so I could see that actually being quite refreshing. But water's amazing. Water's amazing and very important. So please make sure you're hydrating. All right, there's only one class left for the week. It'll be tomorrow morning, Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Mountain Time. That's the weekend kickoff. We have a awesome strength and stamina focused bodyweight class. And yeah, that'll be the last class of the week. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and those handles will be up in the end cards in just a second. All of the VODs from these streams are uploaded to my YouTube channel, Blanche Case Fitness. So head over there and subscribe. You'll have access to all of the VODs, as well as a lot of supplemental content that's going to be going up over the next few months. Form videos, warm-up sequences, lots of stuff like that. So it'll be a good resource. If you enjoyed yourself and feel financially able to help me keep making these streams, I do have a coffee account, Blanche Case Fitness. Donations are always appreciated, never required. And if you want to help me keep building this channel like we talked about at the beginning of class, then please do follow the stream like only Immortal Plays did an hour ago. I've just been having such a great time doing these classes and getting to interact with all of you, and I'm excited to see what happens next. So have a wonderful rest of your evening, and I will see some of you tomorrow morning. Mwah. Have a great night.